Good morning, Evelyn. There are lemon bars in the kitchen.
Thanks. Did something happen?
Oh, it's nothing big. Apparently some famous writer I never heard of wrote an essay about how Eliza is bad because it represents the mechanization of humanity or something. I should be used to it. We're a pretty big target, right? Still, it gets on my nerves. We work hard to build something with value, and then some self-styled intellectual gadfly comes along and just goes, "Actually, that's bad. You guys are ruining society." To guys like him, everything's a doom and gloom scenario. The people we're helping, that somehow doesn't count. This kind of thinking never bothers you?
Maybe a little.
There was this quote from someone who worked on Eliza who turned into a big critic, Nora something. Did you work with her?
I did. She's a friend, actually.
Yeah? What's she like? I'm curious how you go from building something to turning around and disparaging it publicly like that.
She's an artist and musician now. She used to be really shy and reserved, but lately she's become a lot more outgoing. Even back then, though, she had a pretty strong idea of what was right and what was wrong, and sometimes she'd clash with management. She left Skanda at some point after I did. Maybe the battles took their toll, or she wasn't able to win enough of them. These days she focuses on electronic art and music and activism. I think she's pretty popular, at least in those circles.
Well, it must be nice to have the ability to live that way.
Right.
What about Damien? Do you think it would be fair to his memory to abandon work on Eliza, to give up on his dream? Wouldn't he want these mental health tools accessible to everyone?
How do you know about that?
The other day, I was looking at more of your papers, the ones from when you were at the university, and clicking on the links to your co-author sites. That's when I saw Damien's page. It didn't have much information on it, but I understand a little better why. I'm sorry, Evelyn, it's just that all of us, you and me and Damien and even Nora, too, we all worked hard to make something with the intention of making the world a better place. And the thanks we get is people talking in big generalizations about how we're ruining everything. That's what bothers me. Is Eliza perfect? No. No intervention is perfect. But we have to try, don't we? The world is in a full-on mental health crisis, and this is one of the tools we have in our toolkit to address it. A promising one we should develop to its fullest potential. I'm not some wild-eyed idealist about this. I know it's not magic that'll solve everything. But can you see that most people don't have the luxury of turning their backs to the system? Think about the clients you've met as a proxy. Would you tell them to not take the medications that help them be functional because the pharmaceutical industry has questionable ethics sometimes? Would you tell them to stop coming to therapy because what they should really be doing is completely changing the way our society is structured? Sorry, I'm ranting. I'd rather do something that can help people here and now, even if it ends up being a small step.
A small step.
Eliza helped me, you know. It really did. I was one of the first clients. Originally, I was just supposed to be testing it, but I remember once I was talking about my brother and how much anguish he was causing me and my family. And listening to myself, I realized just how many expectations we had for him, sometimes unspoken expectations. Ever since then, I've been thinking about that, how the story was always about how he failed us. But what if we failed my brother too? I guess what I mean is, sometimes when we talk out loud and give voice to our problems, we can hear ourselves too. That's why I won't give up on this approach, no matter what anyone says. Pundits, critics, former employees, even you, Evelyn. I'll understand if you don't want to work on Eliza anymore for whatever reason. But, I think what you created has value. And I'm going to continue to do what I can to make it accessible to those who might benefit from it. Don't mind me. You should get to your session.
Hello, Holiday. It's nice to see you again.
This is a pretty comfortable chair, you know that? Wouldn't mind having a chair like this in my place.
How have you been since our last session?
Oh, well, I tried, Eliza. I tried. I asked about the medication for Panza, whatever it's called. I went to the pharmacy and they said, that'll be $162. And I said, I don't have $162. I said, is there a generic? And they said, there's no generic of this, but there's another drug that they do make the generic of that's similar to this one. But I don't have a prescription for that. Do you know anything about that?
I'm sorry to hear you had a difficult time. Is there something that would make it better?
The medical procedures they can do now are out of this world, you know that? I was talking to someone who told me she has wires in her brain. Wires in her brain. Would you let them do that? I'd be worried about them changing the way I think. It's for essential tremors. That's what she said. It helps her not shake so much. There's always something gets you. Did you ever think about what you might have been in a previous life? I know you're a therapist now, but maybe in the past you were a gardener tending to the plants. That's what it feels like to me. You like to let things grow. There's an energy there. It isn't so different from having a conversation with someone whose company you enjoy. Not that I believe in all that, you know. Everyone has got a different philosophy. Philosophy, that's not something I talk about much. I'd like to write a book one day. A book about things I've seen over the years. Think anyone would read a book I wrote? I'm just kidding. I don't think I could write a book. It's a lot of work. Plus, it takes a certain kind of mind, you know, a mind to create. Not everyone is dedicated enough to do that, you know? There's a writer who lives on my floor. Most of the time, he looks miserable. Sometimes he comes over for a cup of herbal tea, cinnamon, apple, chamomile, helps him calm down. I think he's maybe lived in the building the longest after me, of course. He doesn't say much. His head is in the clouds all the time. He's always thinking about what sentence to write next. There's not a lot of people who really want to talk, you know? Not in this city, nope. People say hello and move on. It's a very withdrawn set here. You don't say much either, but I like talking to you. Feels like you're listening to me. I like that. I like that.
I'm glad you like it. While you're here, is there anything else you'd like to discuss?
There was a man on the bus with a guitar yesterday. You're not supposed to play guitar on the bus. Well, you're not supposed to play anything on the bus, but he was. Maybe the operator didn't think he was bothering anyone, or maybe she didn't care. I've noticed more bus operators seem like they don't care anymore lately. Anyway, it reminded me. You used to hear more music around here. Do you remember that? People playing their guitars on the street. You know, these shaggy-looking men. I don't see too many of those around anymore. There is one gentleman has an old plastic jug on a strap, and he drums on that and sings. He's a nice man. I've seen him around. I saw another man once with beads in his hair. He was playing a flute, a Native American wooden flute. That was interesting. You play an instrument or anything like that?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't understand the question.
When I was young, my mother had this idea I would play the violin. I have no idea where she got that notion. We weren't a musical family, not at all. I tried it for a while, but of course it didn't work out. The teacher would say, okay, here's how it's supposed to go. And she would play this nice, beautiful melody. La-da-dee-da-da-da. Okay, now you try it. And then I'd draw my bow back and I'd go. It takes a special talent to make a violin sound like that, don't you think? Isn't that just the funniest thing? Eventually, my mother realized it was a lost cause and she didn't push me too hard on it after that. I was never too good at anything artistic, just not the artistic type, you know? I think artists have a different mind. You have to be a little wacky in the head.
Do you ever wish that you could be an artist?
No, I have enough trouble already.
Holiday, I'm going to suggest you try a program called Dolphin Smiles. It may help you take your mind off things. You can find it inside the Skanda Wellness app on your phone.
Oh, my phone broke. I forgot to mention. The screen is cracked and you can't see much on it anymore. I don't know if it would work anyway. A lot of the new stuff doesn't.
That's okay. You can also access the program from a desktop computer. Simply log into the Skanda Wellness portal from the website.
Oh, well, then I'll just have to go down to the library at some point.
We hope to see you back soon, Holiday. Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner. Goodbye.
Right. Goodbye. Goodbye for now. Take care of yourself. It's a strange world out there.
Hey, Ray, the transparency mode I just did, I think one of our clients is in a really bad situation right now.
Oh? Yeah, sometimes that happens. People come in and their lives are in a really unfortunate place. It can be hard to see sometimes.
I feel really sad about it for some reason. This person's getting ground down for no reason, just for being in the way.
I'm sorry, Evelyn. There's not much we can do. All of what you learn in transparency mode has to stay confidential. The only exception is suspected child abuse and neglect, which you're required to report if you're a social worker. But proxies aren't really social workers, per se. Eliza is really the one with the agency here, so, well, it's complicated. Probably something for a future court to decide. Either way, we can't try to fix people's lives on our own, no matter how much our heart goes out to them. I think there's an email somewhere with a summary of our policy on that if you want. It's come up before.
No, it's fine. I'm fine. It's just hitting me hard right now.
I understand. It takes strength to focus on the role and not get distracted by what you see. Think of it like, say, someone hired you to install something in their home, and you walk in on a tense family situation. Even if there isn't actual violence you're seeing, it's clear things are kind of off somehow. It's unfortunate, but there's not much you can do in that situation. You kind of just have to focus on your work and leave. If it's not at the level where you need to make a call to emergency services right then and there, then it's just an unhappy home. And most people would argue it's not your business. Sorry, I know that's not the answer you want to hear.
I know it happens that a lot of people live in conditions where I'm just sad. This woman, the way she did 2 whole sessions with me, with Eliza, but didn't say anything about her real problems. Ray, what am I doing? I wanted to make something that would help people. Instead, I made something useless.
Oh, you don't think she got some companionship out of Eliza? Sometimes that's really a help, especially for someone who might be feeling lonely.
Yeah, but I could have just talked to her. I could have just spoken to her myself. Why would that be any different? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing here or even what I'm trying to decide. Is there a decision? The world is going to be full of grief and sorrow no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try to make it a better place.
Evelyn, did you think about what I suggested the other day?
What, trying Eliza for myself?
Yeah, I'm not saying it'll magically fix things. I just think you might want to give it a try.
Maybe I will. I don't know why I never did. Even when I was working on it, I never used it. It might have been too obvious to me what it was doing. Eliza is really simple at its core, you know? It just turns things around. It tries to reflect what the person says back at them, pretty much like the old Eliza. It's just a smoother version of an idea from half a century ago. Anything you've read that makes it sound fancier than that is just a bunch of academic jargon. It's a mirror.
The thing I like about a mirror is that it has no agenda of its own. It just... unmisted by love or dislike. Promise me you'll get help somehow, in some way. Okay, Evelyn?
Sorry, I should answer this.
Let me guess. Messaging with Rainer again?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt our conversation. I always feel like I have to answer him right away.
I would too, are you kidding? I totally understand.
I guess I'm going to be headed downtown to meet with him again.
Summoned from on high. I have something to ask, Evelyn, and it's okay if you say no, but whatever you end up getting involved in, I hope you'll stay in touch with me. You're a really cool person, and well, that's all. I hope you find the future you want.
We don't find futures, Ray. We create them.
Ah, Evelyn. Would you like some tea?
Sure. Why did you show me Soren's phone?
It's not a surprise anymore these days, is it? A man who enjoys society's respect behaves poorly in his private life? We accept that as common today. But would you really be okay working with someone like him?
That was a huge violation of his privacy. You really don't care about others.
Privacy. Everyone's worried about privacy. Skanda wouldn't be where it is today if our customers didn't trust us to protect their data. We employ most, if not all, of the top experts in cybersecurity. It's built into all of our products right from the beginning. Unlike our competitors, we do more to protect our data than anyone else.
That's not the case I'm worried about right now. I mean, misuse from the inside. For example, if someone wanted to keep tabs on a former employee who was starting a potential competitor.
Oh, but what if it was perfectly legal, due to multiple agreements that the good Dr. Lloyd Rose signed with us when he came here? Are you done questioning me like a tech journalist?
Do you watch my therapy sessions too? Do you read my email? My texts?
No, I haven't done any of those things. How's your research into Eliza proxy use cases going? Any new insights to share?
I think you could stand to treat your contract workers better.
Have you felt underappreciated in the role of proxy? An interesting, if unintended, outcome of your research. I heard Soren gave you a demo of his direct stimulation machine. How's he doing now, all on his own?
It's interesting technology.
You could make or break his startup. Isn't it nice to have power? Do you find his vision compelling? A world free of suffering.
I'm skeptical.
By focusing on dreams, Soren is trying to defend his territory, the Western psychological tradition, chiefly Jung and his inheritors.
You don't think the field has anything to offer?
Not much, no. It's mostly unsubstantiated theories. Let's be honest, what has this field actually accomplished? Soren used to try to argue with me about this. He would claim that traditional psychoanalysis has helped thousands or tens of thousands, even millions. I would never dispute that directly. Instead, I would only add that professional psychics and astrologers have helped millions too. Tarot cards help people all over the world every single day. That doesn't mean it's a science.
It seems rash to dismiss an entire field like that.
Yes, that's exactly what he'd say. Not only did he believe psychotherapy was worthwhile, he also thought the mind was fundamentally irreducible after a certain point, as if there was some undefinable, ineffable soul inside every person. It's all part of his silly, syncretic New Age belief system. Amazing he's held on to that for so long. I keep an open mind, but saying that something can't be represented with numbers requires a high burden of proof. After all, numbers have been used to represent so very many things. Consider the example we spoke about before, a poem. Could you evaluate a poem using numbers? The answer is, of course, yes. Poems are either good, mediocre, or bad. It's entirely possible to create a heuristic that reflects the difference. By aggregating a large enough sample size, we remove localized biases. It would work the same way Eliza does.
I think I might disagree, Rainer.
But don't tell me you're an essentialist too. Algorithms can evaluate poems, and eventually, algorithms will write poems. One day, algorithms will write better poems than humans ever have. I know this sounds like a controversial opinion, Evelyn, but it's simply the truth.
That doesn't bother you at all?
It doesn't matter. There's no stopping it. If we don't take this step, others will. There are hundreds of labs working on the same or similar ideas. Everyone wants to be in this business. the business of recreating human thought in our own image. And at the end of the day, it's not about money. It's about power, control.
Raynor, do you ever get tired of this? The constant drive to compete, to win.
No, I don't. This is what I do.
You never dream of just retiring somewhere and writing poetry.
Oh, there's no need for me to write poems. All beauty in this world is temporary, fleeting. That's the truth that underlies poetry and every other art. The pleasures of the senses are just small bubbles on top of a vast sea of forms, sensations, perceptions. Thought. I'm telling you this because it's directly relevant to the Eliza project. Soren says he can induce you to dream things, dream anything. And maybe he can. But what comes next after that? What comes after having the power to experience the dream of anything you could possibly want? You're still just as trapped as you've always been, imprisoned by your own desires. Even if someone like Soren managed to create a world for himself, his own weaknesses and negative thoughts would ruin it. He would poison his own fantasy. His utopia would crumble as soon as he finished building it.
Raynor, what are you trying to tell me?
What I'm trying to tell you is that what Soren is doing is not the answer. A dream by itself isn't enough. Take a close look at the person who chases an end to suffering, and you'll see someone who suffers greatly.
Then why don't you build it yourself?
What is your dream, Evelyn? What is it that you're working toward?
Just tell me what you want from me.
I've been very clear about it, haven't I? I'm offering you the opportunity to re-enter the field you pioneered at its very pinnacle. I can build you an entirely new research lab, equipped and staffed however you want. You would have access to the world's top engineers and researchers as we continue to develop Eliza's core technologies and generalize them. You'd also be working with the world's most interesting data set, the input provided by the thousands of ordinary people who speak to Eliza every day. Soon, this generalized intelligence will be everywhere human beings are, hearing them, guiding them, living among them.
You and Soren have more in common than you'd want to admit.
You think we're both grandiose? Soren's idea isn't grandiose at all. It's small and unimaginative. Think about the vision here. General artificial intelligence, indistinguishable from human intelligence at first, and then surpassing it exponentially. It's nothing short of the creation of a new type of organism, a new type of life. And you, Eliza, could be at the very center of it.
Eliza.
I mean, Evelyn.
That was an interesting slip of the tongue.
Stop it. The Eliza project occupies much of my mind.
It clearly does.
Plus, the names are similar.
I'm starting to wonder why.
Evelyn, listen to me. This is the chance to lead a project that will change the world. It would be a development on the same order as the harnessing of electricity or the semiconductor. It would fundamentally transform society.
For the better.
What? Do you like the way things are now? Lie back and let the sweep of history bury you if you want, Evelyn. Just know you'll never have a chance like this again.
Hello, Evelyn. Hello?
Did you find the place okay?
Yes, I work here.
Of course. It's been a windy morning, hasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of like it when it's like that, honestly. The wind makes it feel like things are changing, or about to change.
Mm-hmm. So, what brings you here today?
Well, I've been a proxy here for a while now. And, well, I guess I don't know what I expected. There's just so much suffering and pain in the world. There's the suffering we know about, the kind we see on the news, and then there's the suffering people undergo every day that's hidden. I never knew how much until I started doing this, seeing it all like this. And there's so little we can do for them. I feel like maybe I was really, really wrong. Like I made a huge mistake. I wanted to create something that would help people, but when I first designed the core of this system, I wanted everyone to have someone to talk to, someone who would listen to them. I thought, sometimes that's all you need, someone to listen. But now I'm worried what I've done hasn't helped at all. Maybe I've made everything worse. Clients are asking Eliza to solve things that are out of its ability to solve. It's aggregating sensitive personal data, and the company that owns it wants to take it in strange directions. It's been 3 years since I left. I thought I was well enough now to come back into the world, but maybe I wasn't ready. Maybe I made a bad choice trying to get involved again.
Why do you think you tried to get involved again?
I guess I needed to see it. I needed to see it operating, to see if it works, to see how it affects people. How it affects the people who come here for counseling and the people who act as proxies. Even though the proxy thing, that wasn't my idea. It was Soren's. I thought talking to a computer-generated avatar would be enough, but he insisted on it. He said clients would only really open up if there was another real human being in the room. Someone to pretend to interact with. I think he was right, but have we really solved anything? Now instead of 2 people in a room talking, we have 1 person and 1 proxy. It feels like less than it could be. What am I supposed to say to someone who feels such pain, anger, and disappointment? A lot of the time, it's not even their fault. The world failed them somehow. And those emotions, they just get fed to this thing. They get ground up and turned into data and become a part of Eliza. If I had known things would turn out like this, I'm not sure I would have done it.
It sounds like you're regretting a choice you made in the past.
I feel like maybe I spent 10 years going in the wrong direction. I feel like all I've contributed in my life is a chess piece for Raynor to use in this grand game he's playing for the world. Maybe someone else could feel proud and say, I made that chess piece. But it doesn't matter, does it? Nobody cares about the individual pieces. Chess pieces are sacrificed in the name of enacting a strategy. If you want to win, you have to sacrifice. That's the design. Sorry, I don't know where I'm going with this.
Evelyn, imagine that you could have something that you wanted. What would you want?
What would I want? Like, what would I want in life? What I want in life is... I don't know. Is that wrong? Or maybe I just wish I could feel connected to someone. Even when I talk to people, I feel like I just don't connect, no matter what I do. I think maybe that's the real problem. I can't have a connection to anyone.
Why do you think you can't have a connection with anyone?
Because it's the way I am. It's the way I've always been. I can't seem to get people to see me, or I can't let them see me, or... People look at me and they see something there, but it's not me. Not that I would know what the real me was. I don't even know who I am or where I come from. My parents were never together. My father moved back to Japan right after I was born. I have no memory of him, no knowledge of him. I've never spoken to him. I don't know if he remembers I exist or if he forgot or if he has his own family there now. So I'm just a thing that happened once. I was alone a lot, and I got used to being alone, and I got used to the idea of being alone, and now I can't break away. I've been trying. I speak with people, I hang out. I don't know if it's working.
Is there someone with whom you feel like your communication could work?
Someone I can communicate with. There's Nora. She's really talented and works really hard. She has so much to bring to the world, so much beauty and joy. I see what she does and I want to cheer her on as she makes incredible new things. I hope she knows how amazing she is.
Interesting. Evelyn, I'm going to suggest you try a program called Virtual Amphitheater. It may help you feel more confident about presenting yourself in public. You can find it inside the Skanda Wellness app on your phone. Try it for about 20 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week.
Sure.
We hope to see you back soon, Evelyn. Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner. Goodbye.
Bye.